Welcome to the show. For over 100 years, tucked away in the heart of Hagerstown, the Maryland Theater has served as the premier venue for arts and entertainment throughout Washington County and beyond, welcoming nearly 100,000 patrons per year. Tonight, we're pleased to welcome Executive Director Jessica Green to talk to us about how the theater enriches Washington County culture. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So we'll get started, and what I thought we would do is just kind of go around the table, and I know you're familiar with Ron, and I know Ron's very familiar with the theater, so I'm going to give Ron the honor of the first question.
Jessica, you've been around for a while, and you've done an excellent job of bringing the theater's professionalism to task. She's joined a League of Historic Theaters in the country. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Maryland Theater. A lot of people know it's 100 years old, but tell us a little about that history.
That's right. The theater turned 102 this month in May, and it originally started as a vaudeville house, later was owned by a series of movie companies, and became more of a movie house when sound came to the movies in 1927, when it came commercially to the movies. Proceeded through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and in the early 70s it was partially destroyed by a fire. Luckily, the auditorium remained basically untouched, and they said it could have potentially hosted an event that evening if it weren't for the smoke. So we were very lucky, and it did close, and it was about to be auctioned off for bricks when a group of local concerned citizens, who later became known as the Citizens to Save the Maryland Theater, came together, fundraised, worked to obtain donated goods and services, and really rebuilt the theater as it is today. So the theater has been through a lot, to say the least, and once it reopened in the late 70s, it became more of a live performance venue and became more of what it is today, hosting local school students. The Miss Maryland pageant came to the theater. We've obviously become home to the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts, Hagerstown Community Concert Association, and a variety of others. So it really offers a stage for every age, as we like to say, and just a large variety of programming.
Our little theater has a famous architect.
It does.
Tell me about that.
Thomas Lamb is known for his designs all over the world, really, of theaters specifically. He's maybe most recognized for Madison Square Garden Theater, the Hippodrome theaters, but he's designed theaters in South America, Africa, all over, and he designed a string of about 200 theaters up and down the East Coast around that same time frame when he designed the Maryland Theater. So they were going up very quickly. The Maryland was built for about $200,000, which is peanuts now, but
right.
It was a lot then.
Right. Wow. Interesting.
Now, you mentioned about the fire in the 70s. Can you tell us, it was put up for auction or was about to be put up for auction. Can you tell us what the impetus was, pulling everyone together to save, why the Maryland Theater? Why?
I think it had already survived so much and gone through so much change. I think the group that came together saw the value of the heart of downtown, and downtown was flourishing then, and it was where our department stores were, it was where our big banks were, it's where everybody wanted to be, and to see something that was such a crown jewel, a piece of art, just disappear would have been tragic.
Tell us about the design of the theater in the interior and some of the ornate artwork and so forth that's included. I know I'm completely off the questions I provided, but I'm betting you know that.
But it is amazing. It's all 3-layer plaster work, so it really is almost a dying art form. It's quite a task to maintain it, as Ron and I both know, as many people know, but it's beautiful. It's gold and maroon in color tone. The cherubs that decorate the edging are famous. That's what I think most people recognize. And the proscenium arch what most people may not realize is that we actually have a double proscenium arch in our theater. And what that means is the main proscenium that you see is the opening of the stage. But if you are in the balcony seating area watching a show, you'll see a second arch that is just behind the box seats. And what that is supposed to do is give you the illusion that you're much closer to the stage than you really are. So it's something you don't find in every theater.
I was going to say, while you're on that, tell about what Hales and Howe did. Hales and Howe restored the areas she's talking about. Tell a little bit about what was done to ensure the longevity of the existing auditorium, so to speak, the ceiling, what all was done.
Well, they did a good bit of research. They went behind the plaster in the areas that they could reach, and they really did a study for us of the current condition and what was damaged, and came up with several other critical areas in need of repair that we hadn't even realized. We had realized that several years ago there was a leak in the roof. We had replaced the roof, and the plaster was the next step, and we were trying to find local plaster firms to bid the work, and they would walk in and take a look around and say, I'm sorry, I'm not qualified for this type of plaster work. So it really is a dying art form, and Hales and Howe is wonderful. They were wonderful to work with. They're out of the UK. They have an office in Baltimore, and they specialize in historic theaters.
Question for you. You have a lot of programs coming up. What are you looking forward to over the next couple months that's going to be gracing the theater?
Vince Gill's coming June 14th, so he's our big name coming for this spring. We're very excited. It's about 75% sold out already, and we have several weeks to go. So should be, I anticipate a sellout. And we have also just announced a partnership with Authentic Community Theater, who has been running our summer camp for several years now, the Summer Institute for the Performing Arts. However, we have worked with them to partner and bring community theater to the Maryland Theater. So we host some musicals each year, but we really had the ask from the community to offer more musicals and live plays, and so we've partnered with them. They'll be offering The Wizard of Oz this summer and Hairspray in the next winter.
How about the partnership with the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts?
Barbara Ingram students are in the building every single day on stage. They use the stage as a living classroom, whether it's dance, vocal, theater, creative writing, any kind of rehearsal. They are there every day, every school day. And then they also host their holiday spectacular each Christmas at the theater, as well as the spring musical. So they are in the theater for over 1,000 hours every year.
Wow.
So
excellent.
It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's
for
a
those
large
students.
group of kids, over 1,000 hours a year.
Yeah.
So how many kids at a time?
Well, a class can only be maybe 5 to 10 kids, up to 25 students. But the musical, I think this year was over 120 students.
Wow. So Jessica, we're out of time for this segment, but we're hoping we haven't talked about the big plans for the Maryland Theater, and I'd like to get into that. I know there's probably an ask that you're going to have for folks for supporting the upcoming plan. So can you stick around for another segment?
I will. The future is bright.
Excellent. Jessica is going to stay with us. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Stay tuned.